My name's Chaz Burns. I'm a writer, director and actor. I've lived in Stroud for approximately 20 years. That's Gloucestershire in the Cotswolds in England. I have to say that because the world's changed quite a lot over the last few years, and I've recognised that now it might be a good time to start meeting all these people that I've essentially made friends with on Facebook but have no idea who they are. I probably know less than 10%. So I'm going to go and meet you. Right. Okay. So, Paul Southcott. That's an interesting name. Do you know where it comes from?
I do. Comes from a place called Southcott in Devon, which is where my dad's family used to live.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that south or north?
Sort of southeastish. Yeah. Both know probably Middle Eastish. Yeah, it's not like yeah.
And but your family doesn't come from Devon. You traced it quite far back, haven't you? Yeah. I seem to remember you saying before. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
They were there. We traced them back to 1600 or thereabouts.
Right.
They were down there. We went. Yeah. That's as far back as they've gone. We could probably go further. My dad was from South Wales. I think they probably came over in the sort of 19th century, late 19th century. A lot of people came from Devon, Cornwall, Somerset to South Wales because industry was on the way up. And that's when they turned up in South Wales.
So what got you to Stroud then? I mean, that's quite a jump.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you were born in Wales, did you?
I was.
Yeah.
But I'd lived 12 years in Northern Ireland, and then I went from there across to the New Forest. I was living and working in communities set up to work with people with what used to be called handicaps. I don't know what we call them now.
Lesser able people.
Yeah. I had been working there, and that had sort of come to an end really for me. I needed to get out of that. And
how old were you at this point now?
What was I?
How old?
How old was I? 30s.
Okay.
30s, possibly 40.
Before this, did you go to college?
I went to, when I was, whatever I was too young. I went to drama school.
That's like me.
Yeah.
I went to drama school too young as well.
Yeah.
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 And where was that? That was in Wales.
It was in Cardiff. I didn't finish the training. You didn't do degrees and stuff like that then. You did an actor's training or a drama teacher's training. I did the actor's training, but my parents were totally anti, and life was very difficult doing that. I did half of it, and then I thought I can't hack this.
You weren't supportive?
Oh no, I had nowhere to live.
What would they preferred you to do then?
I don't know if they knew really.
They just didn't want you to do that.
Well,
I'm sorry, Mum and Dad, it's an actor's left for me.
I don't think they knew particularly. I mean, my mother was very much of the kind of, that sort of thing's not for the likes of us, kind of, what you do, layer. She said at one point, you want to laze around and be a bloody genius all your life. If you wouldn't mind,
please.
And I think my dad, somewhere, he was a really decent bloke. He was a good man, but I think he had to support there somehow. And they didn't know it. No, being just. I mean, in many ways they knew a lot of stuff. In many ways they didn't know sort all about a lot of stuff, and they didn't see it as a possibility. They just thought this is ridiculous. Get a job. get a job. I work hard. My dad, at that time, worked in the steelworks. He said, "I'll get you a job over there if you know."
Right.
Last thing I want to do that. Yeah, no. So I didn't finish the training.
Because of their pressure.
Yeah.
How far did you get into it then? And do you remember what primary school was called?
It was the Cardiff College of Music and Drama. It's now the Royal Welsh.
It's now the Royal Welsh.
Yeah, but then it was the Cardiff College of Music. It was right at the beginning of it, pretty much. Yeah.
Well. So what happened then? So you left there.
Yes.
Did you? And you didn't go to the steelworks?
No, I didn't. I did odd bits and pieces around the fringes of theatre. But I was always quite restless. Found my way to this Steiner community in the Forest of Dean, and they needed somebody to run a small farm there. I had done farm work, so I said, "Oh, I'll do that." And I was staying with a mate of mine up Bolton-on-the-Water who was a jewellery maker, and we discovered this place by chance. We were playing a stupid game of reading the telephone book with expression, which was how we used to fill long winter nights back in the day up there. And I found the address of this place, the Camp Hill community, and we'd seen an article in the paper, I think, about Camp Hill communities. So I said, "Hey, this is what we were reading about. It sounded amazing." He said, "Let's go and have a look at it." So we did. And they said, "Oh, yeah, they've got this lovely little farm here with a few cows, blah, blah, blah." But the farm was just about to leave. I said, "I'll do it." Well, so I did. I moved in straight away into this tacky little caravan under the trees. And I was there.
So what were you doing there then?
It's a great.
It was quite a decent setup with old and new houses all around this big estate under the tree. It was a beautiful place. And each house had what they called house parents and helpers, what you'd call staff now, but we never used that word then. And you'd have a house community of people with difficulties. We call them villagers.
Right.
And co-workers, which were the staff. You'd care for the villagers. They all worked. I mean, I ran the farm, which meant that I had a couple of villagers who would help me, and I would help them with milking, feeding, cleaning up, and then growing vegetables.
Yeah.
So that's what I was doing then.
Busy time.
Yeah, it was good. We didn't handle money. It was a community. You didn't get wages. Your needs were met.
Right.
I thought I got to heaven. I thought this is how we all should live.
Yeah.
It was perfect. It was.
A lot of people feel that way nowadays, don't they? Especially now.
It suited
And
me.
this was Steiner. This was Rudolf Steiner, Plus, right?
Which I knew nothing about.
No.
And I was there for a couple of years. I very quickly got married.
As you do.
Which was not probably the best idea. I'd put my one I got married to had 2 kids already from different parents, different fathers. But I married her anyway. We moved to Northern Ireland to a similar kind of community, a bigger one. And I went to take on the farm there, which was a much bigger farm. And I did that. There was also a school there for kids with handicaps. And I trained to be a teacher there. So at a certain point, I stopped the farming and I became a teacher. I did a fair bit of drama work there with the students came from all over Europe, really, to do that teacher training that I had done. So I started a kind of drama element to the whole thing, working with them, doing productions. Yeah, but that was good. It was a good time.
So did that pull you kind of back into it then, do you think?
A bit, yeah. It did. My marriage, well, I mean, we had 4 kids. The marriage ended. My wife pulled out and went to Germany, which was where she was from. I came to the New Forest eventually, which was a school, a similar kind of school. I was living over there. Where I worked as a teacher. Married again. Had small children. And yes, after a few years there, I think I began to feel it's time to leave all this behind and do something else.
And what were you thinking?
I had no idea. I was kind of falling out of. I didn't want to stay in the Steiner thing.
So got a bit sour, do you?
Was it unreasonable? A bit unreasonable, I thought it was at times, and I'm not a great belonger to things.
Bit of a loner.
Yeah,
I know that feeling.
And if you're in a community where everybody except a certain layer of students and young people don't belong, and you've been there a few years, and you've sort of, you feel yourself being bedded in, and you're regarded as, and you have to this, you have to take this on, you have to take that on, you must be at all.
Yeah.
Like that, it didn't resonate in the right way.
Yes.
So I thought. So one of the kids at that school was from Wootton Dredge.
Okay.
And her parents said, well, if you're trying to leave, we're setting up a house in a place called Stroud, which is for our kids when they leave this setup. Would you like to come and do that? So I thought, well, that sounds good. Yeah. And I didn't want to just do that, although it was,
So what was this?
I'm hopeless with whens, with rough idea. It must have been.
Was it the 90s?
Oh no, before that.
Look, all that 80s.
Oh no. Yeah, probably the 90s. Yeah, I would have been 40 maybe, something or other.
Okay.
Yeah. I signed up at the same time to do a bricklaying course in Gloucester, so that I could do something useful.
Parents would have been proud.
At last, made it. Yeah.
Look funny.
I did that. And then we ran this place just down opposite the convent, across the road from the convent. And I became a self-employed bricklayer. Just like that.
Do you still walk past any place and go, see that wall?
I do, but I tend to look the other way.
Oh dear.
Nothing to do with me. And what? State that. Yeah. Yeah.
So from there,
I always kind of, I kept doing bits and pieces of what I can loosely call theatre.
I mean, this is where we're getting into the nitty gritty a little bit, because obviously it was still inside you to perform.
Yeah.
So what do you think the driving force was? What is it that? Because this is we're getting to the nitty gritty, and we'll come to the next part of the story. But what I want to know was, what is the driving force? Why is it that you have this inside talk? What makes it? This is a big question.
It's a huge question, and I've had it since I was a small child. When I was, 9, 10, 11, if my parents would go out anywhere and I'd be in the house on my own, which I hated because I was terrified of our house. It was this absolutely scary, horrible place. I used to dress up and I used to be somebody else all the time. I wouldn't, I used to be whatever. I could be anything. I could be an Indian prince or a Scottish laird or a caveman, and I did that. And I would move around the house in this character and do everything in this
Fantastic.
I did it all the time. So I've always had it. It's just always been there.
Thing is, you get led from the stories as a child. Your imagination plays a massive part of it, isn't it?
Yeah. To quite a big extent. I mean, we didn't have TV until I was quite a bit older, so we read. My dad read to me. I read all the time. I read before I went to school. I could read anything by the time I was 4.
Amazing.
And I did. I read all sorts. Our story about the Vikings, King Arthur, Robin Hood, all this stuff was up to there, and also poetry. I can remember the first time I got caught by poetry. I was 6. I know this, and we had these big old encyclopedias, and I was looking through them. I found this poem. The splendour falls on castle walls and snowy summits old in story. Do you know it, Tennyson? The long light shakes across the lakes and the wild cataract leaps in glory. It's giving me the shivers now. It's a cheesy bit of Tennyson, but it's amazing if you discover it as a kid. Yeah. Blow, bugle, blow, set the wild echoes flying, and answer echoes answer, dying, dying, dying. And there you go. I have it complete in my head, you know.
All I've got is Richard III's soliloquy, and it won't go. I do everything I can to remove it. Yeah. Wow. So that's it. So of course that's what sparks the huge imagination within you, and like every actor, I guess. Yeah. And as a child, you know, the playing, pretending.
Yeah.
Well, that just stays.
Yeah, it does, and it's words that does it. It's I mean, I can read or see a word and I'm almost in tears because of the power of that word or combination of words. It's just kind of, you know, say that again, say it again. I've got a fantasy of getting a Jamaican actor, if I can ever find one, to do that poem in Jamaican, you know, the Splendor Falls and the Castle Bar. It would sound great. Yes. And snowy summits all in star, you know. I can, and it almost, the imagination almost moves me to tears. It's ridiculous. And I don't know what it's about except the power in words and where it takes you from. Unbelievable stuff.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So you're here, you're in Stroud. You're not bricklaying anymore. Mm-hmm. So what next?
Well, what did I do? I trained as a relate counsellor.
I remember you saying
a marital counsellor and a remedial sex therapist.
You really did do that?
I did, yeah.
Why not? That'll be interesting. Better than bricklaying.
Yeah.
Wow. And how long did you do that for?
Must have been 6, 7, 8 years.
Oh, okay.
And I did it along with building work.
Oh, you did it with?
On and off, yeah.
Right, okay, interesting.
Yeah, at times I did, yes, I did. I did mix it up, and I would do more of it for a while and then less of it, but I kept it going.
Right.
So I've always done a whole range of stuff, really.
When you say mix it up, you didn't get the things confused, did you? Because that would have been
I didn't get them confused. I didn't get them confused. But, yeah. I like to have a kind of a mixed economy, a bit of this and a bit... I suppose because I just find them all interesting.
I mean, that's it, isn't it? Because you're with...
Yeah.
From what I can understand, there's a lot of people. You're involved a lot in care in the community. You know, from early years onwards. Yes. And also characters, presumably, because people, as we know, people with different abilities, let's say, have different characters to the general normal people. And maybe that sparks the imagination as well.
Oh, it does. They do. I mean, you're in it. Well, once you really start to identify with and get involved with other people, you're in a different world anyway. Once you can sort of loosen your grip slightly on your own parameters, you're away. You're sort of, whoa,
Yeah.
And well, I mean, when I was in my teens, certainly, I used to tell a lot of lies. I used to tell a lot of stories about myself.
They weren't true.
Yeah, no, they weren't true. I would make them up, partly because I didn't like who I was. I didn't like being me particularly, but also I just, oh yeah, and then
Why didn't you like being you? I can't imagine that.
I think it still goes on today a bit. I think I never quite arrived at being anyone.
I understand.
Yeah?
Yeah, that 98, 99% of almost getting there, almost doing it.
Yeah, but never quite. And I still carry that now. I still have that now. A bit less, maybe not less. I have a different angle on it now. And I can sort of stand back in the drink and go, yeah, I see what you're doing. You're doing it again, or you're doing, yeah, why do you need to do that? What's that? I don't know who it is that asks that question. But somebody does. But yeah, that was a big feature of, and yeah, I had weird things happen to me which made me not sure who I was. I mean, I had this strange experience. I woke up one day when I must have been about 13, 14, and it was an overnight thing. I woke up with a feeling that I'd had a twin sister, and my twin sister had just died. And I was bereft. I was absolutely bereft. And I carried that around. I told that to people as a fact. Well, I told that to people as a truth. And somewhere, I think to myself, well, was it some kind of truth on some other...
Yeah, plane or...
Yeah, I had dreams about it for years. And I don't know where that came from. All that was about. Yeah. So, yeah, I know. I feel like I've never quite arrived.
Yeah, you're missing on reality with the imagination.
Yeah. And part of that being, sorry, I wouldn't start while I telling what I can only call lies, really. But
Isn't that an actor's job?
yeah, it is. We're all liars. Give me that in writing.
Yeah, I ain't signing that contract, mate. Brilliant. So you work in a relate council, within the Brook Line.
Yeah.
So
I was telling a few stories here and there, doing a little bit of storytelling. I was busking. I was going out playing the fiddle on the street.
Is that where you're going?
And
Yeah.
Ollie Crick invited me to join this theatre company that he was running or trying to get going. The Fabulous Old Spot Theatre Company. That's where I got into the whole commedia stuff. Yeah, and yeah, that was great. I mean, if we'd been able to continue it, I'd still be doing it now. I was
had the juices flowing.
yeah, that was great.
I understand. You've said you played the fiddle then, so where did you learn to do that?
I've always been learning it. It's just I'm self-taught, really. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, started that when I was about, I suppose, 14 or 15. I got a fiddle off an A. I had this thing about Irish music. It grabbed me completely. And so I got a fiddle off a neighbour and started to teach myself.
So you went with the Old Spot, but you got into, because I remember you saying to me some time ago about going to Spain for clowning and things like that.
Yeah.
So where did that come into it?
It's all part of the deal, really. I went to the thing in Spain to try and develop the clowning stuff a bit. I don't know that I did, but that was the idea. And there was a bunch of us there. Part of what we were doing there, we would go out on the street and just piss about everywhere, and wind up people. It was great. I mean, it's a much nicer country to do clowning in than this country. Yeah, people are into it, more open. People are just into it. We go to the market. I had this bag of felt vegetables, and we'd go to the market, and I'd sidle up onto a vegetable stall, as women would come up to buy stuff, I'd go, 50 pesos. You know, go for a felt tomato or a felt carrot or something, and the stallholder would just go, oh, you know, and get on with it.
Let it
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was, yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
And you say it's not really, here it's a little bit different in the UK.
Oh, yeah.
They're not so open to it.
No, but no.
Why do you think, Daddy? Think it's the weather?
Partly, I think it might be. Also, I think people. Where we were, certainly most of the people who were selling stuff were also growing it. It was they all had a different relationship to what they were doing. I mean, here, business is business. I'm sure it's business there too, to just as much. But there was just that little bit of, you know,
freedom.
whatever. Yeah,
You know, and more
yes, yeah. No, it was brilliant. And what I like about, well, I think clowning is very good for any practitioner to do, because you're forced out of your usual, you know, daily thing.
Yeah.
You're also almost, at the same time, you're forced into something which is yours. It's just as much yours as the other stuff. You don't always acknowledge it. You can't always, but it's natural to you. You know, it really is. And it's wonderful to be able to just, you know, walk down the street and, you know, with a funny hat on and possibly a nose and just, you know, steal something out of somebody's basket round. You know, it's all great.
My father was very good at doing that.
Yeah.
It would, you know, I mean, driving along in a car, you know, we did a lot of journeys together, and he was like that.
Yeah.
Whenever anybody gave him trouble on the road, he'd just pull a face and smile and wave. You know.
Yeah.
I never saw the man with road rage in my life.
Ever. No, never. And all that behaviour, all those reactions were all his.
Yeah,
They were all just, you know,
that's right.
yeah.
That's right.
It's he wasn't forced into any of it.
No.
And that's for me one of the great things about clowning. You give yourself that break to just, and other people will also give it to you. If you go up to a woman or a man on the street and he's open to it, he's giving you a huge gift. He's saying, yeah, come on, let's, you know, even if he just gives you a smile or a laugh or whatever. It's a huge, yeah, go on, that's great, you know. It's a magical thing. It really is.
So we're at the old spot. And that went on for a number of years.
Yeah, 8 to 9 years.
Why isn't that still going now then?
Yeah, we ran out of money. There were all the grants dried up.
As they do.
For the last show we did, we all took out bank loans.
Really?
And all got into trouble. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of know that feeling.
Yeah. Rubbish. Yeah, it's a great shame.
Wow. So what now?
I have no idea.
So you talked about you writing this show, which might be a novel.
I don't think it'll be a novel because I want to perform it. Really.
You do, yeah.
I do want to perform.
Got to be.
Yeah, because it's all written in that voice. You see, it's all written in that way. I think to read a whole novel in that voice would drive anybody completely bananas. But it's written in that voice, and the voices of the other characters in there. So I think it needs to be performed.
Yeah.
I do think so. And radio would be quite good. Radio would be all right.
Yeah.
I do want to perform really, even if it's just storytelling. I like to do a bit of. I like to mix up words and music. I do make tunes. I make my own tunes for various things. And I like the activity of doing that, because whatever the story is, the words are part of it. The music is another layer, another, you know.
Yes.
And I like that. I like doing that. Yeah.
Then you got to do that. Paul, I'm going to say thank you so much for sharing your life with us. Mr. Paul Southcott, thank you very much for joining us today.
Pleasure.